So, moving on, now we can see wind. Wind energy is captured with wind turbines. You can see these turbine fields. You have to have a lot of them in order to get a decent amount of energy. So, the blades turn a generator located inside the tower, right in here, which creates the energy. This is going to create electrical energy, electricity. Groups of wind turbines are known as wind farms. Now, these are found near farmland and narrow mountain passes and even in the ocean. So you have to have a place where there's going to be lots of wind blowing in order for these to work out for you. So some advantages of wind. Can be very efficient and cheap in places with steady winds. Now it has to be steady winds. It is clean with no pollutants. So those are going to be some advantages to it. Some disadvantages, however. Wind is inconsistent. Most of the time the wind's going to blow at sunup and sundown. Just those 2 times of the day. Those aren't going to be your peak energy, the times where you're using peak energy. So a lot of times the energy doesn't really get used at the time where it's really needed. This isn't a good source of energy in all locations. So some places that don't have consistent energy, that's not going to work out for them. And this also is dangerous for bats and birds. This can be known as a bird graveyard here. Lots of large birds get caught in those wind turbines, and it can be a pretty violent experience for them. They're not going to survive too well. So that's wind energy. Now, hydroelectric. Energy made by flowing water. So, hydroelectric power plants are located on large dams which control flow of a river. Controlled amount of water flows through the tunnels and turns huge turbines which generate energy. So if this is a reservoir, so kind of like, up there at Rock Creek, there's a big dam right there. The reservoir, you can have an intake through here. You have a pipe that runs down here. This is going to be a big pipe. We're talking you can walk through this thing. And it's going to hit this turbine, which is going to spin this generator. This turbine is going to generate electricity. And then anything that comes through there is going to end up in the river below. Now, some advantages to this is the energy is inexpensive to harness. Because rivers are everywhere, it's an available source. And it's reliable because engineers control the flow of water. This is as close as we can get to having an actual battery. Because we can store up the water on the back side of it, and then when we need more power, open up these floodgates and let more power flow through there. It's going to generate the electricity. When we don't need the energy, and during certain times of the day where not a lot of energy is going to be consumed, we can actually slow the flow on that, and we can regulate how much power comes out of there very efficiently. Some disadvantages, however. Damming a river causes great environmental impact for people, plants, and wildlife. One thing that they actually are concerned with these dams is salmon. Salmon have to be able to swim upstream in order to spawn. Well, they come here, they can't go through this turbine right in here, so they've got to figure out a way to get the salmon up and over into the reservoir so that they can continue up their journey. That's something that we have to deal with. Also, some people would say that putting a big lake there, you now have a big body of water sitting on top of the ground. That puts a lot of weight on the ground. It's theorized that this can actually cause earthquakes. So there's a lot of different things that you can look at for an environmental impact. And this is also dependent upon rainfall to fill the reservoir. A lot of times these reservoirs aren't just generating electricity, so you got to have maybe drinking water coming out of there, irrigation water like we would see around here. You've got to have the rainfall, or in our case, snow, in order to fill that reservoir. And the initial installation for this is expensive. Dams require lots of concrete. And so this is not the easiest way to get energy. So we will talk about geothermal next.